Bible says, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. Here in this verse, David is saying, such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It's too great for me to understand. Let me ask David, what is this knowledge, what is this understanding that is too wonderful for you? And he's saying that I know that the Lord examines my heart. He's saying that there are people around me who looks at my outer appearances, and they are the people who judge a book by its cover. They look at me, my life, and the things that I hold on to, and they pass their judgments based on the appearances that they are able to see. But I am so humbled. At the same time, I'm so excited when I see a God who examines my heart. He is not someone who passes a judgment based on what people are saying. He is not someone who comes to a conclusion about me based on someone else's opinions. He's saying that I know a God who examines my heart and knows everything about me. And let me tell you this, you have so many people around you, your friends, your best friends, your colleagues. They all can be manipulated. Their opinions towards you can be altered based on what they hear, based on what they see, based on what they perceive. But you serve a God who can never be manipulated by the opinion of other people, whose thoughts about you, whose plans about you can never be thwarted, can never be altered by someone else's opinion about you, because He is a God who examines your heart. That's why Prophet Samuel enters the house of Jesse, and there are so many people. The brothers of David stands in line, believing that they will be the chosen king for Israel. And even Bible says Prophet Samuel, when he looked at the brothers of David, he thought that he might be the one, because he looks good, he looks fit for this position. Oftentimes people judge you based on your outer appearances. And that's why when Joseph was sitting on the throne, when his own brothers came to Egypt, standing in front of the minister Joseph, Bible says they could not recognize him, because only they can see the outer appearances. And based on the outer appearances, they came to a conclusion that Joseph is an Egyptian minister. And the brothers who share the same blood, could not identify, could not recognize that the man they are speaking to is not just an Egyptian minister, but rather he is our brother. Joseph can say that, hey, come on. When you look at me, you might see that I am an Egyptian minister. My dress, my appearances, it all resembles an Egyptian culture. But when you look at my heart, I carry the heart of God. Let me tell you this, it does not matter how you look, it does not matter how people perceive you from your outer appearances, but what matters is what is inside your heart. And that's why Jesus, when speaking to the Pharisees and Sadducees and to his disciples, he says that, what impures you is not what goes inside of you, but what comes out from your inside. It's what matters. talking about that whether we need to clean our hands before food and stuff. They have different questions about cleanliness, about holiness, about purity and impurity. And Jesus rebukes them and saying that, you know what impures your heart is what comes out of it. It's not the outer appearances that matter. Because back in the days of Jesus, Pharisees and Sadducees, they were much focused about how they look, about how people perceive them based on their outer appearances. They used to wear long robes, their costumes. They gave much attention to what they wear and never worried about, never showed any concern about what's in their heart. And that's why Jesus comes into the scene and tells them, the Father in heaven concerns about what's in your heart. It's not about the long prayers you pray, but when you go into the presence of the Lord, shut the door and sit in the presence of the Lord in private. Oftentimes we show our spirituality to the public so that they can verify you as a spiritual person. But Jesus urges us that whatever we do, let it come from our heart. And that's what David says, I am so happy, I'm so joyful that it is not men who examines me. It is not some people who is giving some opinions about me, but it is God who examines my heart and He knows everything about me. So the knowledge is too wonderful for me because the knowledge that God has about me is not based on the opinion of people around me. So God does not need the opinions and information of people, but He knows me because He has examined me Himself. You can be happy, you can be joyful for the fact that it is God who examines you and He knows everything about you. So that gives a courage to David, a courage to come into the presence of the Lord transparent. David says, when I come in the presence of the Lord, I don't need to act spiritual, I don't need to act religious, because He already knows everything about me. So when I come with all the brokenness, I can come as I am because He examines my heart and He knows everything about me. So when I come as I am, I will not leave as I was. He will change me. He will transform me. Let me tell you this today. If you are ready to have the audacity to come into the presence of the Lord as transparent as you can, and say and declare and surrender yourself and cry out to God and say, Lord, this is who I am. And I know you know everything about me, but you are a God who is going to transform my life, who is going to change my life, who is going to turn my life into something new. He is a God who can turn your brokenness into newness. I urge you all to experience this newness in your life. And David says, it's not just that He examines my heart and He knows everything about me, still He chooses to be with me. Can you say about your friends this thing? That He knows everything about me and He still chose to be with me. Often the people who are around us, they are around us because they don't know everything about us. How many of you can testify? I don't know. We don't open up to everyone. We do not share our secrets to everyone. We all have our secrets and we don't share it with everyone because we know, we are afraid of that if I share my secrets with this person whom I love so much, if I share my secrets, leave me, or will he choose to stay with me? Can I share my secrets to my husband? Can I share my secrets to my wife? Can I share my secrets to my parents? Can I share my secrets to my teachers? Can I share my secrets to the pastor? Can I be transparent in church? And the truth of the matter is, we have our own secrets which we can never share with anyone. Because if they come to know about it, they won't take much time to say goodbye to us. Those who are compassionate to us till now will become cruel to us. Those who were kind to us, they will become our enemies, because they know some of our secrets, they know some of our weaknesses. But God is saying, David says, see, the good thing about God is He examines my heart, He knows everything about me, but still He never leaves me alone. He knows everything about me, but still He decides that I'm not going to leave this fellow all alone by himself. Because if I leave, he will perish. And God's plan for us is not to perish, but to have eternal life. See what David says? You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. So he says, number one, God knows everything about me. Number two, God sees me every time. One of the greatest blessings you can have in your life is God's eyes resting upon your life. Even when you sleep, even when you travel, even when you are all by yourself, thinking that I am in the darkest valley and no one is there to see me, but God's eyes are always upon you. Today you need to receive this word of encouragement, the word of faith, the word of promise, and declare that God I serve is El Roy, the God who sees me. Hagar with her son Ishmael in the wilderness, thinking that there is no Abraham to rescue, to save, to provide for her son. But she says, there is a God who sees me. And she named God El Roy, the God who sees me. The God who can see my pain. The God who can see my anguish. The God who can see my emptiness. The God who can see my boy who is about to die. The God who can see every situation of your life. So David says, number one, the God who sees me. Number two, the God who is with me. See what the verse says? You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. David is saying, you know everything about me, but still you see me. You know everything I do, and you are with me. You are before me and you follow me. What does that mean? That the God I serve knows everything about me, and He is standing before me. He is walking before me, and He is following me. That God I serve is is ahead of me as well as He is behind me. He is all around me, and He says His hand is over my head. What does that mean? That means He is over me. He is in front of me and He is behind me. That I am covered by the presence of God. Even when God knows everything about me, He is with me in every moment of my life. He has covered me with His presence. How many of you can testify that even there are moments when I never realized, experienced the presence of God? But still I know one thing, His presence never left me. It's always there, above me, around me. And next verse, see what David says? He says, I can never escape from your spirit. I can never. I have done mistakes, I have done terrible mistakes, but you came in search of me. I have been so miserable, but still you came in search of me. And David says, I can never escape from your presence. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I go down to the grave, you are there. Your hands will guide me, your hands will support me. So, see, David is saying that even though God knows everything about me, He's a God who comes in search of me. And He knows everything, but still He chooses to stay with me. He chooses to cover me with His presence. He is in front of me, He is behind me, He is all over me. And what does He say? That He is there even when I go to the grave. He is there. I can never escape the presence of God. Let me tell you this. You can never escape the presence of God. You might be in college, you might be in your office, you might be in your hospitals, working, thinking that there is no one to see your miserable situations. No one is there to rescue you from your misery. But God is saying, I see you. You can never escape me. You can never get away from me and my presence. I will always come in search of you. Today, how many of you are ready to seek the God who seeks you? How many of you are ready to surrender before the God who always seeks you, who comes in search of you, leaving the 99 and coming in search for you? Shall we close our eyes? Adam and Eve, they committed grave sin and they thought that we have to escape from the presence of the Lord. The Bible says they hid themselves behind a tree. But God comes down and asks a question, where are you? And today, if anyone is trying to escape from the presence of the Lord, thinking that you are a terrible person, you have done great mistakes and there is no turning back, there is no turning point in your life, you can never make a comeback. If anyone is wondering, you need to hear the voice of God. Where are you? Come to me, because you can never escape from me. You can never get away from my presence, because I always seize you. I am a God who is always, in spite of knowing who you are, I chose to stay with you. I am willing to cover you with my presence. Shall we close our eyes?